It's very difficult to judge expansion sides, especially when most of their key pieces are from outside of the league. But for St. Louis, I'm extra worried on how their inaugural year will play out.
The issue for them will be up front and putting the ball in the back of the net.
And I mean, does it really come as a surprise that they're probably going to finish in last place? I mean, all you got to do is just look at their roster.
Oh, from New York, New York, you are listening to Extra Time.
Well, we were all wrong about St. Louis City. The new kids on the block, St. Louis City SC, are shocking everybody in MLS by winning their first 5 matches of the season, breaking an MLS record, being the first expansion side to do so. This record was previously held by the Seattle Sounders back in 2009, where they won their first 3 matches of the season. But how is St. Louis City doing this? It's simple, because the opposition teams are gifting them goals.
Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
I'm totally kidding, I'm just joking around, or am I? Let's first talk about the team and why they've been so successful so far this season. They're coached by Bradley Carnell, formerly the assistant coach of the New York Red Bulls from 2017 to 2021, with being their interim head coach in 2020. The team only brought in 2 designated players of a possible 3, one of which is striker Klaus, who I thought for the longest of time was Dutch, but when I read his full name, turns out he's actually Brazilian, João Klaus de Mello, and German midfielder Edouard Leuven. Right here is where the doubts began from people for this club. The club only brought in 2 designated players, and them not being the flashiest names had people already writing this team off. On top of that, Bradley Carnell has had no prior head coaching experience before this team. St. Louis City SC seemed destined to finish in last place in the Western Conference. But something people didn't know about was the system this team was building. It starts with sporting director Lutz Fallenstiel, who worked as a scout and head of international relations for German club Hoffenheim beginning in 2011. Most recently, he was the managing director of sports at Fortuna Dusseldorf. He's also been a coaching instructor for FIFA and the German Association. He has that German ethos that he's now bestowed on this team and is building on the existing soccer culture in St. Louis. Bradley Carnell deploys a Jurgen Klopp gegenpress system, and in my opinion has been their key to success so far this season. But what is gegenpress and how does it make this team so good? The gegenpress, which in German means counter pressing, its philosophy is not only that teams press their opponents, but that they do so with particular focus and zeal when the ball is in the opposition's territory. In effect, countering the counterattack. It requires the forward line to commit to a lot of running, as they are instructed to rapidly close down opposition defenders in order to force an error when an attempt is made to play the ball out from the back. And that is why we've seen teams gift St. Louis easy chances to score goals. These tactics are something new that hasn't really ever been done before in MLS to this success. It's caught teams by surprise and is a system that is not normally used in MLS. And right now, St. Louis City remind me a lot of a fusion of the Seattle Sounders and LAFC during their expansion seasons, which is a really good thing for this club because those 2 teams are arguably the best 2 expansion teams in MLS history. They spend their money wisely, bringing in a good mixture of MLS veterans to European players that aren't old and have a point to prove and want to become stars in this league. Like the Seattle Sounders, for the entirety of their tenure within MLS, have only brought in designated players that have big game experiences at the highest level, but aren't the flashiest names that bring in an ego or possible drama within the team. St. Louis City have scouted well on bringing in the right players with not having to spend outrageous amounts of money, and that's thanks to the scouting of Lutz Fallenstiel. But we must not forget the most important factor of them all, the fans. The fans are what bring all of this together for this team. Right from the gates, you can see this city has gone all in for this team, with a sold-out crowd of 22,423 fans at their home opening match. Having the fan support catapults teams in the MLS to different levels. Do I think this team can make the playoffs? Yes. Do I think they'll be one of the top finishers in the Western Conference? No.
You can't keep getting away with it!
Luckily for St. Louis City, this season over half the teams will qualify for the playoffs, and I think they'll easily be able to finish in one of those playoff spots. Oh yeah, and by the way, if you want to know more about the new MLS playoff format this season or want to know my opinions on it, make sure to go check out this video after you finish this one. I will say I do think this is a honeymoon period or a purple patch this team is having right now. Not to say this team has not been exceptional, has not deserved to be in the spot that they are right now, but all teams go through through this phase. This season is long. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. With the Leagues Cup and US Open Cup coming up, this team will be stretched. There will come injuries and fatigue for this team. That's where MLS experience comes to play when overcoming rough stretches, which they will endure as every team does at some point in the season. But luckily for St. Louis City fans, don't worry, those moments will only help be building blocks for future seasons. Because trust me, this team is only gonna get better. But boys and girls, my opinion only matters so much. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Big shout out to St. Louis City on the great start they're having so far in MLS. Let me know your guys' thoughts on St. Louis City's start to this MLS season in the comments down below. And I hope you'll have a lovely day.